Welcome back, financial forecasters. So today we are going to go over three things. We're going to go over the Algonquin Power and Utilities earnings. We're going to go over the Telus earnings, and we're going to talk about the dreaded XBC earnings that are coming up this week. So if you're ready, hit that like and subscribe. Please, guys, it's helping the channel. We're almost at 600, and we're going to talk about some juicy dividend news from Algonquin, some less than juicy news from Telus, and our hopes and our dreams for XBC coming up. So if you're ready, let's go. Getting rich together, financial forecaster, let's go. All right, guys, so first thing we're going to talk about is Algonquin Power and Utilities. Everyone in Canada who invests in utilities, who have ever looked at the sector, who owns shares of AQN, has a soft spot in their heart for AQN. Now, I'm going to tell you some both great news and some not so great news about AQN. Now, don't get it wrong from the beginning. I'm not selling my shares. This is a long hold, great managed company that has some great life ahead of it in the space of renewable energy and a utility and a great growth stock and dividend. Now, this is where the good news kind of can blend. Like, okay, so the earnings report came out last week. Fantastic. Lovely, everyone's reading them, and if you're not reading them and you're invested into a stock, for the last time, don't invest in a stock if you're not reading their quarterlies. Invest in an ETF or in an index fund. If you are investing in a stock, read the quarterlies, because one day that company could start doing poorly, it could be on a downtrend, they can adjust their guidance down, and you will be caught holding the bag. Your dividend will be cut, something will go bad. So I'm happy that I read this report because I know that their revenue is 38% up year over year. Now, that is a great number. I'm very happy with that. And I guess everybody out there would be happy. Also, the nicest thing happened. 10% dividend raise. Now, for you guys holding a utility or corporation in your portfolio, any dividend raise is fantastic. There's one thing I want to make very sure everyone knows that is an AQN shareholder. Their payout ratio is north of 98%. That is concerning. Obviously, it's a little skewed because of the free cash flow compared to like what they have to do in Texas to clean up, their capital expenditures coming after the pandemic. All of this stuff has something to do with that free cash flow. Moving into the future, though, I don't really see that being a problem, especially if they can keep increasing their revenue rate year over year. So on that place, I'm happy. That's why I'm not selling. It's you know what, it sucks, and the payout ratio shouldn't be that high. But if management is increasing the dividend when their free cash flow payout ratio is so high, they know more than us. They know how to manage their own company because they've been doing so for decades, and they're doing fantastic. So my faith's in the company. They know what they're doing. I can stomach it. I can stomach it for now, guys. But that payout ratio is very high. Revenue is raising their dividends, and the company knows what they're doing for the future. They've got a great capital expenditure program going into the future. Great. So if you're an AQN shareholder, you should be very happy. I'm very happy. Algonquin Power and Utilities, what else can I tell you? It's slightly more exciting than Fortis, but not by much. It's a great stock, though, and I very much like to hold it in my portfolio, and I've definitely talked to a lot of my friends about it. So that is Algonquin. Next, we got to talk about Telus, guys. Now, they came out with their earnings. I don't want to say that they were stellar. They were almost not even close to stellar, but I think there's a reason for that. Okay, bear with me. Telus is a massive telecommunications company with multiple streams of revenue. Check. Fantastic. Telus is one of the big three with almost a monopoly in Canada. Also check. Awesome. The problem is, during the pandemic and everything, they didn't make a lot of roaming fees. They didn't rack up a lot of high data fees. Everyone's at home. They missed on that. But what a lot of people didn't see is that they're putting a whole bunch of money into their capital expenditure. They raised it up to $3.5 billion. And that's a little worrisome. Now, that might have something to do with them only raising their dividend minutely. I think it was less than a cent they raised their dividend. I'm not going to complain. I'm still dripping those shares into my portfolio, into my RSP and my TFSA. Now, the problem I have is that's a lot of money. How are they going to manage their free cash flow? Telus has a very complicated structured debt agreement with a whole bunch of entities, and it's a very large company to understand. I want to make it very clear, though, that the CEO of Telus said that by 2023, they will have brought that capital expenditure down to $2.5 billion. The reason that they raised it was for all these 5G adaptations into the future, that they need to increase their fiber optic network cables around Canada. And you know what, that makes sense. They've got to compete, they've got to invest the money now. And once the 5G infrastructure is built out, kind of seems like smooth sailing. It kind of, like, once that infrastructure is there, then they move on to utilizing that infrastructure. Right now is the expensive time. Right now is the time where they need to build their future in that space. So was it a great earnings report? No. Is the dividend still really high and fantastic? Yes. Can they afford it? It's Telus, so yes, they can afford it. Are they overvalued? You know what? I'm going to say it again. Telus is at a sweet spot right now, and if it dips below $26, I keep buying more. I love Telus at this price. It's the only thing in my portfolio that hasn't started to run away, but still a great, decent yield, and a company with a lovely future ahead of it. So for Telus, small dividend increase, kind of a lackluster earnings report, but still solid enough to be one of the best investments you'll ever make for you, your future, your kids, and their kids. It is a growth monster that will just grow probably for as long as you'll live and as far into the future as you can see. So Telus, fantastic. Now the next earnings report we're going to talk about, we don't know yet, but we're all worried. Let's get to that. And finally, I'm coming close to talk to you because if you're an XBC shareholder, like this guy is, this guy who started buying above $10, I want you to watch the numbers that come out. Never be so tied to a position that you can't jump away from it, because if you're buying single stocks or single companies, you have to be able to fall out of love with a stock if you don't see it making a recovery. Now, there was some awful news that has been coming out for XBC. In the past, it's been very quiet on the Western Front when it's come to this stock. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm very nervous. So if you're watching this video, you're an XBC shareholder, read this quarterly like I'm going to do. Make your decision. I hate to say you have to sometimes cut and run. I'm hoping that they see great growth like Green Lane Renewables did last season. Let's watch. I want to be invested in the future of energy transmission and production and conversion, but not at the cost of my portfolio. And there are other companies. XBC is not the only bet, but look at me. Look at me. I've got my fingers crossed. I want it to succeed. I want it to do great, but we'll see in the earnings. So XBC earnings are coming out this week. Keep your eyes open. I'll talk about them when they come out, and I'll make my decision about my portfolio then. I hate to be the brunt of the negative news or the dose of reality, but I'm in the same chair that you are. Well, not the same chair. I got this new chair, you know. But we have to take a serious look at this investment when the earnings come out. And that's it. So, financial forecaster, guys. We got a sweet Algonquin dividend raise. We have Algonquin looking strong to go into the future. We have Telus with a plan of going forward with their 5G. Great retention of users. They're growing, they're spending, and that dividend is still juicy. And we have XBC on the horizon. So you guys, take it easy, pay attention to your money, make sure it's working for you. Keep getting those dividends, make sure that they're in your portfolio. Growth is great, dividends are fantastic. You have to have a mix of both. And let's keep getting rich together. This is the Financial Forecaster. Please hit that like and subscribe. And thanks for coming to the channel. Have a great day. Yeah, buddy.